Wow. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. What's up, people? How you doing? It's your man, Tim Black. Welcome to the Tim Black at Night Show. Glad you are here. That's if you are here. Are you here? I guess if you're seeing me now, you are here. Wow. Heck, we're both here. We might as well start a show. But first, let me make sure that everybody can hear and see me. You know how things happen with our janky studio set up. So let me go and check. Now would be a good time to get your coffee. I ordered this humongous coffee cup. Greedy, I guess. So my readings look okay on my microphone. Now let me check and see if my people on Facebook can see me. I see Bruce out there. What's up, Bruce? Can you hear me? Yeah. Uh-huh. Sheila. Olga. Where you been, Olga? Chanot. Yeah, I remember you. What's up, Chris? How you doing, Chris? What's up, Helen? What's up, Billy Howe in the house. Billy Howe, George, man. You know why, George. What's up, George? Thank you, my brother. What's this? This is Rosie. Rosie's in the house. Uli, right? Lois, did I get Lois? I got Lois. Top fans. I got some top fans, guys. What I love about the top fan thing is that it just reminds me, man. People in my back, they got my back like this wolf back here. I appreciate you guys so much. So Facebook is ready and reporting for duty. What's up, Facebook? Let me check my people on YouTube and see how they doing. I don't want to disrespect my YouTube people, man. YouTube people, are you in the house? Wow, I don't know. YouTube doesn't look like YouTube's really working. Oh man, this thing is screwed up. Okay. So yeah, good thing I checked this. My YouTube screwed up, guys. I'm gonna try to reload this and see. For some reason, YouTube was set to unlisted. So now it says public. And I'm hoping it'll do that on the fly, guys. Because we got a good night. We got a great show lined up, man. I got a great show lined up, and I want to make sure that people can get it. So I'm going to give people a couple of minutes to kind of let me see if this is working. Because, I get a better crowd. What's up, man? Hey, what's up, Peter Griffin? Don't you have a cartoon or something? Peter Griffin. Family Guy, right? No notification, though. Okay. Yeah, man. No notification. Guys, I'm sorry. I'm going to... Thank you, Peter. Okay, guys, give me 30 seconds to relaunch, and we'll see if it works now. It's totally my bad. Sometimes this button gets flipped. I don't know how it got flipped. I don't know what's up. Let's see. I'm going to... All right, I'm hoping that rectified the problem, but we'll find out, I'm sure, soon enough. Yeah. We're going to find out, Tim Black. Let me go to YouTube and see if it's going out now to everybody. It says public. Yeah, a couple more people. Hopefully hopefully the alerts will go out, the notifications will go out so people know to come watch the show. But yeah, we're gonna, we're gonna proceed anyway. We're gonna proceed anyway, guys. Because my Patreons, my Wolfpack members team, Tim Black, you guys, I'm gonna post a link to the entire show. That's what look, guys. If you're not a member of the Tim Black Show, the Wolfpack or Team Tim Black, one of the things I do is I post a link to every live show I do, so you get the full show, not just the clips. You also get the clips, so that's one of the perks of being a subscriber. You get everything, and you can always go back and watch entire shows if you want to binge watch, whatever you want to do. It's basically like some other of my friends in media who do the same thing. I just do it on a shoestring budget. That's the way I do it. All right. So hopefully we're good to go now, guys. And this will be available later. So if you wanna hop in, man, it's like $5. Become a member, $5 a month. So become a member, and I will, and you will be getting premiere, the best content I can put out, and also, You'll be a part of a great community, man. I love my people. We are great people. We work together. We support one another. And yeah, did we get any new members since last show? I don't know if we got any new members since last show. Okay, guys. So I'm wondering where we want to start. Okay, well, I've been digging into the Jeffrey Epstein. I've been digging into the Jeffrey Epstein story. In fact, it's not a new story. It's not. It's not new at all. We were talking about that story 2 years ago, 3 years ago, 4 years ago. People have been talking about that story before I even knew who Jeffrey Epstein was. Finally decided, we're going to bring this guy to justice. My thing is this, and this is, who did he piss off to finally get brought to justice? Somebody must have finally got upset with him. Somebody, somehow, this got out in such a way that it could not be held back. Because this guy should have been in jail a decade ago. Maybe almost 20 years ago, he should have been in jail. He walked because he had friends in high places. He walked because that's what happens. But this is the thing I want to point out that's most important for you to get right now. And this is why Tim Black is different. People say, Tim, why should we subscribe to your show? Tim Black, what's so special about you? Tim Black, you're a hard ass. Tim Black, you got a chip on your shoulder. Tim Black, Tim Black, Tim Black. They say all these mean things. Some people say good things too. Well, because of stuff like I'm about to say now. Things that make me persona non grata to the establishment. Things that make me hated on both sides of the aisle, and I'm cool with that. Because the people love me. Jeffrey Epstein is a creep, and a lot of people know about it, and those people are Democrats and Republicans. Jeffrey Epstein is a pedophile. And Trump knew it, and Bill Clinton knew it. Now, Bill Clinton put out a statement saying he didn't know anything. Hell, man, Trump told on you 2 years ago in an interview with Sean Hannity when Sean Hannity asked him about you, Bill Clinton, President Clinton, and he said, Bill's a good guy, but he's going to have some trouble coming his way because he spent too much time at that island with Jeff Epstein. And according to the press release that was put out by the Clinton spokespeople, he was on an airplane a certain amount of times. He visited with Epstein, the creep, a number of times. So this not even up for discussion. And Donald Trump's just as bad. I mean, he was just a businessman at the time. But Donald Trump, God, how more damning could it be for a guy to say, yeah, Jeffrey Epstein, I know him, he's a good guy. He likes them really young, though. Really young. He said that. Talking about now, how can you walk that back? And it's hilarious when you watch Republicans try to walk it back. It's even more hilarious when you watch Democrats try to throw Trump under the bus when they're Bill Clinton, who basically owned the party for the last 20 years. Make no mistake about it. The Clintons have owned the party. It's somewhat literally. My interview with Donna Brazile revealed that the DNC, that Hillary Clinton owned the purse strings of a political party solely. Now people want to act aghast. Now they want to act shocked. It reminds me a little bit of Hollywood with Weinstein. People act, oh my God, a casting couch. Oh my God, clutch the pearls. Mofo, you know all about that daggone casting couch. Everybody know he was a creep. Act like you don't know. It is the hypocrisy that burns me up the most. So don't invite me on your shows. Don't invite me on your show. I'm cool with that. Because I'm a hard worker. I get at it. Jeffrey Epstein is the worst of us. He's a billionaire who bought little girls. And he didn't buy rich little girls. He bought vulnerable little girls who needed money, who would not tell. He didn't go to Beverly Hills and get little rich girls. No. He got trailer park girls. And then he paid the trailer park girls that he got to bring in more trailer park girls. They say his appetite was insatiable. He needed a new one every day. He needed a new one every day. He was Roy Moore on steroids. And Bill Clinton rolled with him. And don't tell me this is this guy's lifestyle. Look, I know people that do shady things. One of my friends did coke. He didn't hide it very well. I came over his house one time. His eyes were racing. He was sweating. It was February. I knew something was up. I said, hey, man, what you doing, bro? He said, oh, no, nothing, man, nothing. Cops out there? No cops out there, man. What are you doing in here? I knew he was on something because I knew my friend. Bill Clinton knew Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein was a creep. That was just, will this creep ever see the light of day again? And he just might, because he just beat a rap back in 2002 where he should have never, ever saw the outside of anything. And he beat that because of Alex Acosta, Labor Secretary, who at the time was a U.S. prosecutor in the state of Florida. Now they say we need to get rid of the Labor Secretary. Oh, man, I got a clip for you of Bernie Sanders breaking that down about Acosta. You're going to love it. If people really want me to dig into the Jeffrey Epstein story, I can. I'm not prepared to do it. I don't want to read a bunch of material to you and put you to sleep, especially since I'm going to be reading a little bit tonight because I have to, because this information I got for you is so powerful. But I tell you this, and this is what we need to know. I don't care if you're conservative or progressive or moderate or liberal or what you are. I don't care. What I care is that you come in for truth. And the truth is, everybody's robbing us blind. And the truth is, a lot of these politicians are liars and fakes and phonies. And the truth is, the people at the top do the most dirt. It's the people at the bottom who suffer. Poor people go to jail. Poor people go to jail. That's why I'm not for the death penalty, no matter who commits it. Because I know in this country that I live in, it's disproportionately handed out to who? Poor people, black people. Since most black people are poor people, it's poor people, black people, same thing. But Latinos in there, they'll fry you too, white folks. They give you a hot needle. If you're poor, they will slay us all. Native Americans. I just heard a horrible story about a Native American man shot who was handcuffed and had a screwdriver. They shot him while he was handcuffed and he had a screwdriver. Killed him. Little anecdote. Well, it's not an anecdote. A little morsel, little sprinkle facts. Most victimized, brutalized by cops, minority in America is Native Americans. No one talks about it because there aren't a lot of Native Americans. Hence, Native Americans being the most brutalized group of people in America. That's why there's hardly any Native Americans in America, because they killed them all. Woo! Yeah. All right, so share this show, guys. Let me just make sure people heard this, because things go crazy. I go on rants. Then I look up, and people say, Tim, what'd you say? Your mic was off. Yeah, we good. People saw it. Before we get into anything really heavy, and believe me, I got some heavy stuff for you. Donald Trump is falling out of love with Fox News. Isn't she beautiful? Isn't she marvelous? Not so much. Not so much. Trump is peeved at Fox News for airing an F Trump chant. Now, one of the things I don't do on this show is like waste a bunch of your time and my time slamming Donald Trump. I mean, you can get that anywhere. MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, PBS. You can get it everywhere. Just, a slam, a Trump slam. But this is so delicious. It is. It's a beautiful thing. President Trump's criticism of Fox News' a series of tweets this weekend was reportedly spurred by footage that aired on the network where bar patrons and fans chanting obscenities aimed at him, according to the Associated Press. Following the U.S. women's soccer team's World Cup win, Fox correspondent Greg Paucott aired a live report showing patrons in the background chanting, "We love you, Trump." Yeah, but they mispronounced Trump or love. Yeah, the way they say love in France starts with an F, rhymes with duck. Yeah, they kept saying it. And the guy was like, "Well, get out of here." Did they just say the F word? Yeah. So anyway, Donald Trump didn't like that very much. He slammed Fox News for it. And the bottom line is people need to realize that, look, Fox News, it leans to the right, but it's corporate. I don't know why these people think that everything, so in the beginning, Fox News wasn't showing any love to Donald Trump. Go back in time, 2015, Donald Trump was not a fixture on Fox News to that extent. And when he was talked about, it was negative. Trump received a lot of negative coverage, okay? But just like MSNBC and CNN and all the other networks, when they saw ka-ching, let me do that one more time. Just like all the other networks, when they saw ka-ching, that's when they just focused all the cameras on Donald Trump because Donald Trump became good for business. And what's good for business is good for us. See? So that's what it was going on. That was that happening. It was hot on the block. It's on fire. So that's what happened with Fox News and Donald Trump. That's when they fell in love with one another. They fell in love with one another when they realized that money would fall from the sky. In fact, it was Les Moonves, CBS, right, who said Trump may be bad for the country, but he's good for us. He's good for our bottom line. It may not have been Les. I forget who it was. Somebody corrected me once. You got the wrong guy, Tim. Screw it. It's one of these guys. Hey, look, let's just say a powerful network executive was said publicly that Trump is bad for the country, but he's good for the bottom line. Meaning they have really no responsibility to help you, country. Hell, if Hitler was alive, they'd have him on. Because it ain't about helping you, or me, or anybody. Black, white, Latino, Latinx, Native American, white folks, black folks, orange folks. Let me stop there with the colors of folks. Yeah, I'm getting educated. You can't say colors of folks. Black folks you can say all day. That's fine. Bottom line is this, man. They're about money, and that's what it's all about. Donald Trump is getting a little tired of Fox News because Fox News doesn't always, not like every segment of every show is not kissing him just so on each butt cheek. And for Trump to be happy, every episode of every show and every second of that episode must be kissing him ever so gently on his saggy, smelly, doughy, backside. I started visualizing it. It got too descriptive. Okay, so anyway, so that's the deal with that. All right. You know, a lot of people are talking about, the polls. They're talking about what's going on in the Democratic race, who looks like they're going to win, and this was what happens, guys. I was here last news cycle. If you're new to watching this stuff closely, I'm just going to tell you this is the way it is. I'm a vet now. Every day they act like it's the end of the campaign. It's just getting started. We're like 8 months away from Iowa. People talking about it's over already. This guy's got it all wrapped up. Joe Biden's going to run away with this thing. The narrative will change again tomorrow because, well, anything can happen at any time, and they're going to act like this means something major. It's just what they do to keep you glued and locked in because viewership matters. You know? So, one of the things that they've been doing is downplaying Bernie Sanders. They've been doing their best to make it seem as if Bernie Sanders is a loser. Yeah, he won, 20-something primaries? In 2016, he's the only person in the race who's run for office in the last decade. I don't know. I mean, Biden ran before, but he never won anything. But they still treat him like he's a leper. How can you win over 20 primaries and now be considered a leper? You got over 1 million volunteers. You got offices in every state across the country. But they treat you like a leper. All right. Well, anyway, I got some information I want to share with you. Because that's what we do here. Here goes Bernie Sanders. Let's go to Bernie Sanders, and let's talk about burning money. Well, my bad. Let me set this up for people. Let me set this up. Let me do this a little orderly. All right, so let's so there's been a lot of talk about who raised a lot of money. And money is one of the gauges that you look at to determine how well a campaign is doing. And well, the more money you raise, the more powerful you can be. And in the race, the political race, 90 times out of 100, the candidate with the most money wins the election. I mean, it didn't happen that way in 2016, though. Hillary still lost. But usually it happens. So anyway, we're talking about earnings or what campaigns raked in the last quarter. Here goes Bernie Sanders talking about, here goes a clip about them talking about Bernie Sanders' money that I think is very interesting, and you won't hear it on MSNBC or CNN.
Campaign stops all through the state holding the first contest in the race. Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie Sanders among those holding events in Iowa today. As the new numbers in the race show the frontrunner Joe Biden slipping and Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris surging after the first debate. Peter Ducey live in Coralville, Iowa to break it all down for us there today. Hey, Peter.
Good morning, Bill. Bernie Sanders has also slipped in some of these recent polls, but his campaign just announced a few minutes ago he has not lost a step in the fundraising department, raising $24 million in the second quarter, including $6 million transferred from other accounts. The $24 million figure is almost identical to the splashy total Mayor Pete announced yesterday. And this is going to help the Sanders operation remain stable despite that slip in the polls, which is something the frontrunner has experienced as well. Because the last time Joe Biden came to Iowa, he had a double-digit lead nationally, and that has been wiped out, according to a CNN poll that shows Biden at just 22%. And now the contender who challenged him on stage in front of 18 million people, Kamala Harris, registers at 17%, just 5 points back of Biden and ahead of Warren and Sanders and Buttigieg. But that doesn't mean other contenders are going to start taking aim at the weakened frontrunner to try and surge like the senator from California. And that's according to Amy Klobuchar, the first of many to Iowa this week, and one of the only Democrats not running on Medicare for All.
I think you focus on issues, and if you have a disagreement with one of the other people on the stage, you make that clear. And I did some of that on the health care proposal, where I didn't want to kick 49 million people, half half of Americans basically off their health care insurance in 4 years, which is what that bill said. And I'd rather do a public option. I made a difference when it comes to these different proposals that we all have to pay for college. And I hope we have a better discussion and a more thorough discussion on that.
After the first debate, the first in the nation caucus state is the first major retail politics stop for many in the top tier. Biden and Bernie and Mayor Pete and Kamala Harris are all going to be here at either backyard barbecues or 4th of July parades in the next few days, shaking hands with some of the most influential early state voters anywhere.
Here we go.
Bill.
Next month is the fair. Peter Ducey, thank you so much in Iowa Today. Thanks.
So, a damn cup in the way. Money counts. And Bernie Sanders raised a lot of money. $24 million. Pretty good. That's just right up there with Pete Buttigieg. But he did transfer $6 million of it from another account. But it's still money. He had it to transfer. Isn't that a good sign? A sign of liquidity, a sign of keeping up with the Joneses, a sign of having support. And let's keep it real, guys. If you're Bernie Sanders and you've already outraised Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris, astoundingly, right? And, Elizabeth Warren's getting some donations now. That's great. But, people have been giving to Bernie all this time. Like, Elizabeth Warren's just getting started collecting donations, right? Really? Bernie's got like a 3-year, 4-year start. He's got the money from when he ran in 2016, and he's got new money, and he's got more people. If you got more people and more individual donations, then you could probably get more money over a longer period of time. These are facts that people don't want to talk about. If you've got so many people that all I need to do is get $1 per person, and I can raise $1 million, but you got to keep going at your people because you need $100 from each person, and you only got a pool of 50,000. You got to keep asking for $100. Eventually, somebody's going to hit that cap, or eventually somebody's going to be like, "Look, I already gave you money, a lot of it." So they do their best to try to minimize Bernie Sanders' campaign and how well it's going and how much money he's raised, and they don't want to talk about it from the light. In fact, most of the articles that I saw focused on Elizabeth Warren. And even if and they totally discounted Bernie's $6 million that he moved into his election money, when in reality, she's raised 19.1. Even if you took that out, it was still 18 million. They were talking about Elizabeth Warren like she totally dusted Bernie in the raising money category. Leaving out, once again, that he's got way more money socked away than Elizabeth Warren or Kamala Harris or Buttigieg or anybody in this race. Everyone else is trying to catch up to Bernie Sanders. They don't want you to know that because perception is reality. Yeah, if you think Bernie's a loser, he becomes a loser. If you think Bernie's a winner, then he becomes a winner. So that's why the battle over information, the battle over the narrative is so important. That's why I fight the good fight every day, because I know it's important. $24 million is a lot of money. What I would do with $2 of it, for the show, for Tim Black Wolfpack stations across the country, and citizen journalism, and all the other big ideas I have. They take money. That's why I'm starting a foundation. I'll let you know more about that soon. Well, back to Bernie Sanders. Okay, so we got Bernie Sanders. He's fundraising. Bernie Sanders dealing with all these issues. Let's listen to Bernie Sanders talk a little bit with Andrea Mitchell about Joe Biden, because everyone wants to talk about Joe Biden. And everybody's saying Joe Biden is that guy. And then there was the big dust up with Kamala Harris and Joe Biden. I want to hear what Bernie has to say himself, just to see if we see eye to eye.
Campaign stops all through the state holding the first contest in the race. Amy Klobuchar, Beto O'Rourke, Bernie.
Joe Biden is still in the latest Washington Post ABC poll, is still leading all of you in the race against Donald Trump in that matchup. Is his apology this weekend in South Carolina good enough on the subject of his description of the segregationist senators he had worked with, and also, of course, the busing issue?
Well, let me just say this, is that in poll after poll, we are also defeating Donald Trump, and I think most importantly in the battleground states of Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania. I think all of the polls that I have seen have shown us to be ahead of Trump. I think that says that we have got to take the lead, that this campaign can beat Trump. And that's an important point that I think most Americans know. But in terms of Joe Biden, look, I think that, Joe has talked about his early days in the Senate when things were civil. But underneath that so-called civility, there was an incredible oppression and ugliness and attacks against the African American community. And, you see this when your Congress people are so nice. They're so civil. How are you? How is your family? And yet they are supporting efforts that literally terrorized 30, 40 years ago the African American community. So it is one thing to work with people, I do, of all political differences, but it is another thing to boast about a civility which really masks some very ugly policies.
Senator Bernie Sanders, as always, it's a pleasure, sir. Thank you for being with us. Good luck.
Ow. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wow, that's amazing. That's exactly what I was saying the other night. I was saying, hey, it's one thing to work with somebody on something that benefits disenfranchised people. It's another thing to work on something with questionable people that does not help disenfranchised people. Yeah, man. Hey, dude, if you live near me or on my block and you got a Confederate flag, but if a house is on fire of a neighbor of ours and it's just you and I standing there and you say you're going with me and we can rescue a baby, we can go in there and rescue that baby. But I'm not going to go to your Klan rallies and then say, well, I'm reaching across the other side, and I'm not going to big up your Confederate flag or your slave memorabilia and overlook it when you call me the N-word. Nor will I overlook when you call Mexicans dirty names or gays or anyone else. Understand what I'm saying? The last thing I'm going to do is prop you up and say, this is what being civil is. See, some people are afforded civility when they're not the ones under attack. And I got a real problem with people who say, I'm progressive, supporting civility to the detriment of people like me and other disenfranchised people. But hey, it's this thing. But anyway, I like the way Bernie put that. Hey. See, everyone's trying to remake history and make it seem like it's just, everybody be nice. Everybody play nice. And once again, this is Joe Biden, unforced error Joe Biden. He brought it up. He was on the campaign trail. He was on fundraisers talking about, hey, I work with anybody, even segregationists. That's how this got started, running his mouth. Anyway, guys, I got a little bit more Bernie Sanders. And this is weird, but I think it needs to be added because it's Bernie talking about Elizabeth Warren. And there's something here that Bernie says, it's the way he says it. I want to see if you catch it because I think Bernie Sanders is sprinkling some facts.
Joe Biden is still in the latest Washington Post ABC poll, is still leading all of you.
Senator, what do you make of Elizabeth Warren's rise in the polls? Do you see that as a threat to your
we're doing pretty well as well. Elizabeth is a friend of mine. She's running a good campaign. I'm proud of what we are doing, and I'm proud. What I would just also say is that I am very proud that many of the ideas that Democratic candidates are now talking about weren't talked about 3 or 4 years ago.
But
you
you
know?
see her as a
Okay.
threat to your
Yeah. I'm wondering if people caught that. It was so short. You know, it was like a gotcha question, like, "Hey, what do you think about Elizabeth Warren catching you in the polls? She's doing really well." And he said, "Well, Elizabeth Warren she's doing really well, and I've known her for many years." And he bigs her up. He says something positive about Elizabeth Warren, and then he kind of switches and he says, "Well, it's really great to see people coming up with new ideas that people didn't talk about 3 years ago." Because remember, Bernie Sanders gave birth to all of these ideas that people are kind of splintering off, and now they're kind of running on it, acting as if they were vanguards of Medicare for all, vanguards for some type of tuition-free college or something like that. Like Bernie gave birth to that. And really what these guys doing are biting his style. We can, in rap, that's like the worst thing you could do is bite somebody's style. In comedy, stand-up comedy, worst thing you can do is bite someone's jokes, bite somebody's rhymes. You a biter, yo. Bite someone's jokes, it'll be the end of your career, like Carlos Joke Stealer, Amy Schumer. But she's going to be okay because right people like her. The right people like her. Bottom line is, there's a lot of joke stealing and a lot of rhyme biting and a lot of policy peddling or policy thievery. A lot of revolution smoke screens and a lot of that going on right now. But I'm just thinking it bothers me. I think some people just don't understand it. They can't see through it. They just now they turn on the TV and they're in the middle of a movie. They don't know what happened before they sat down, and they just believe that guy or that woman is an honest actor. But just what if they are not an honest actor? What if they are part of the problem? What if they're full of What if? We used to have this thing, right? When back in 2015, it was about being a progressive. And being a progressive wasn't just a label you say. In fact, it wasn't popular at all. A lot of people didn't even know what it was. You say you were progressive, they say, "Well, I'm Allstate." See, they thought it was about insurance companies. They didn't know what progressive meant. So the way to kind of define it so it made sense, I said, well, it's like this. We support Medicare for all. Free local college tuition. Free college. Local colleges and universities. We want to end interventionist wars, regime change wars. We want to fight against climate change. We want to get $15 an hour. We want to end prisons for profit. End mass incarceration. These are the tenets of progressivism. Also, even probably most important, we want to get big money out of politics. That's what was up. That was the idea. And if you weren't about that, well, there was no conversation for you. No one needed to talk to you anymore. So right now, there's something going on where everybody's adopting Bernie's conversation. Everybody's getting into it. Everybody's putting a little spin on it and trying to make it theirs. And in no other way was it more, it was so prevalent and so obvious that in no other display than in the first presidential debate when the conversation was all about Bernie Sanders' campaign. I mean, they didn't say it was Bernie Sanders' campaign, but it was about Medicare for all, which is Bernie Sanders' primary idea. The legislation he put together for Medicare for all. Everybody want to say they're for it because they know how popular it is. But my thing is, are you really for it? Somebody sent me a fantastic article, guys. An amazing article. An article that I must share with you because it sheds light on this issue about Medicare for all. And it sheds light on these so-called progressives who are now running around touting this Medicare for all because they know you like it, they know I like it, they know most Americans want it. It's like hugely popular, right? So now they're adopting it. But here's the thing. Now, it's from a guy named Benjamin Studebaker. And the title is On Healthcare, Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris Think You're Stupid. So the title grabbed me off the top. And somebody on my Facebook page sent it to me in Messenger. So thank you for sending this to me. It says politicians are really good. Politicians are really good at fooling voters. Voters have jobs and kids and lives to lead. They're too busy to look very closely at things politicians say and do. And increasingly, journalists are every bit as overtaxed and unable to do their job. So, I like this setup, though I don't believe that journalists are so overworked they can't do their job. I don't buy that. I'm doing my job right now. It's what they choose to do their job on. They can do their job on more. Trump got small hands. Trump's a bigot. Trump smells funny. They can keep doing those stories, or they can do stories like this. Like you. But I get it, Studebaker. You're not trying to make enemies of your colleagues. So it jumps down. He says, the moderators asked the candidates to raise their hands if they supported Medicare for all. He's talking about what happened in the first presidential debate. We saw this during the Democratic debate. The moderators asked the candidates to raise their hand if they supported Medicare for all. And most of the candidates obliged. But several of the hand raisers routinely deploy a rhetorical sleight of hand. I call it the many paths trick. It works like this. You claim to support Medicare for all. You co-sponsor or otherwise express public support for several different types of Medicare or healthcare legislation. Ensure that one of the bills is Bernie Sanders' Medicare for all. But also support one of the Medicare buy-in bills, which are permutations of Medicare for all. Or permutations, I should say, of Obama's 2009 Obamacare or Affordable Care Act. So they hedge their bets and say, oh yeah, we support that, Bernie. I'm with you. And then also go sign on the other legislation that is more of a continuation or a, mad scientist concoction, atom splitting, DNA mishmash, hodgepodge of Obamacare. A way to help the insurance companies keep their heads above water. Number 3, when asked how would you achieve Medicare for all, claim that you believe there are many paths to do it. See, the many paths are one of those things that are other than Medicare for all. A Medicare buy-in bill is really quite different from Sanders' Medicare for all bill, because the Sanders bill will create a single-payer system in which health care is free to the patient at the point of access. We pay taxes. The taxes support Medicare, and in return, Medicare covers everyone regardless of wealth or income. No individual has to worry about being left out in the rain. In stark contrast, the buy-in bills turn Medicare into just another insurance program, albeit one that is publicly run. If you have to pay to access Medicare, it's possible that you might not have enough money to purchase access. And that means low-income citizens can still be denied access to Medicare. Some will continue to do without insurance, while others would be stuck on lower quality Medicare plans. In short, a buy-in bill does not create a universal right to health care. It makes Medicare available only to those who can afford to buy in. So a buy-in bill is not a path to Medicare for all. It's just a rerun of the public option. Pete Buttigieg plays games with this, calling his version of 2009 Obamacare Medicare for all who want it. But Elizabeth Warren and Kamala Harris play an even more insidious game. On Harris' website, Medicare for All will eliminate premiums and out-of-pocket costs. But Harris is also a co-sponsor of Jeff Merkley's legislation, which would enable Americans to buy in to Medicare. What's more, she's even co-sponsored Michael Bennett's bill, which straightforwardly calls for a public option. When asked about the discrepancy, Harris' press secretary said this: Medicare for All is a plan that she believes will solve the problem and get all Americans covered. Period. She has co-sponsored other pieces of legislation that she uses as a path to getting us there. But this is the plan she is running on. So here's the thing, guys. This is what you got to see, right? When people like Kamala Harris, this is what the author suggested, and I think he's right. When Kamala Harris hedges her bets, is she really committed to Medicare for All if she's hedging her bets on other options? Does she really believe that Medicare or that health care is a human right if she's willing to support legislation and co-sponsor legislation, not willing, but does co-sponsor legislation that is, you have to have money to get it? Like, it's either a right or it's not. You either got to pay for it or you don't. You either want to fight for it or you don't. Why would you need to co-sponsor all this legislation? Unless, now I'm just spitballing here, y'all. I don't know Kamala Harris. We don't text. We're not buddies. Didn't grow up with her. But maybe, just maybe, she's not really serious about anything other than getting elected, and she's saying what she needs to say because she's a politician, and maybe she's just bullshitting, y'all. I'm just saying. Just a thought. You got to look at the word path. The press secretary frames these other pieces of legislation as paths to Medicare for All. And when they blatantly do not guarantee Medicare for All, Elizabeth Warren is even more explicit. Like Harris, she has co-sponsored other legislation, including a bill to establish a state public option through Medicaid, not Medicare. At a town hall, Warren said, when we talk about Medicare for All, there are all different types of pathways. See, these different types of pathways are not to Medicare for All. There are different types of pathways to other types of health care. Look, guys, when you are going somewhere, there can be, like in your GPS, if you're trying to get to a route, we all use Waze. I've used Waze or Wise or Waze. I'm going to call it Waze. I've used Waze. I like Waze. It tell me when they got radar detectors and when there's a car crash. I like Waze. And it also gives you options when you're trying to get to a destination. You can take a path without tolls or path with tolls, a path more scenic, right? That's different. That's different than healthcare. Healthcare is either a human right, and we need to get to that, and that's what we're willing to fight for because it's life. It is literally life or death for us. If you think it was life or death for Kamala Harris or Senator Warren, do you think they would be so, there's many pathways. You think they would be so pliable, so willing to adjust if it was their kids that could die, if it was their parents who were on deathbeds, if it was their parents cutting up medication, if it was their father unable to quit a job at 70 because that's the only way he's going to get health care coverage for a pre-existing condition? Elizabeth Warren then went on to suggest buy-in plans, presenting them as if they were simply another way of achieving single payer. Some folks are talking about let's start lowering the age. Maybe bring it down to 65, 60, 55, 50. Some people say do it the other way. Let's bring it up from everybody under 30 gets covered by Medicare. Others say let employers be able to buy into the Medicare plans. Others say let's let employees buy into the Medicare plans. For me, what's key is we get everybody at the table. We get everybody at the table. I've also co-sponsored other bills, including expanding Medicaid as another approach that we use. Look, guys, I know some people get excited about Elizabeth Warren having a lot of plans. Wake up and realize she's just throwing a bunch of rocks and a bunch of crap against the wall and see what sticks with you to see what she could say is good. And then she's not married to any of it. If you haven't been if you haven't been championing for an issue for more than 5 minutes, how deeply connected to that issue are you? I mean, I know we do a good acting job, you know. Here's the thing. I got a plan for it. I know. People buy it. Some people buy it. But if you haven't been, like, you know, I'm an old guy now, right? I've been around the block. I know when people love people. I know when people are just having fun. And I know when people just meet and it's got the new car smell. And I know the difference between having a relationship for many years, decades even. And there's a difference in that type of love and that type of affection and bond. To pretend that you could have a real bond with a person or idea in 2 seconds is ludicrous. It's unreasonable. It's unlikely, highly unlikely. It's whimsical, even. Warren tells you that other people are saying, but doesn't take a clear stance on her own. She tells you what other people are thinking or saying, but she doesn't say, this is what I'm saying. This is my stance. And don't you go saying, I'm being sexist or misogynist. It's not just about being the tonality. It's about the certainty. When Bernie Sanders talks, he has certainty in his voice. He has certainty in the words that he uses. You may disagree with him, but he really wants that thing. He's not talking to you about what other people want. He's telling you what he thinks right for the country and what we must fight for. He wants to get the people behind the idea. He didn't tell you a bunch of ideas to see who likes them. That's what leadership is. And I know a lot of you have probably been trying to figure out in your mind, like, well, I really like Elizabeth Warren. She got a lot of plans. She did that consumer thing. Forget about the DNA test, Rookie mistake. What's really different about Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren? It's right here, man. I mean, it's right here. Warren tells you what other people are saying, but does not take a clear stance on her own. Tellingly, despite her habit of attempting to demonstrate seriousness with detailed policy plans, there is no plan for Medicare for All on Warren's website. She doesn't even discuss it in broad terms. The issue is totally absent. She has more than 24 plans on her website, and Medicare for All features in none of them. This last paragraph, well, it's not last, but if the next president is going to get Medicare for All passed, they're going to need support from Congress. And that means they're going to need to put a lot of public pressure on Senate. To put together that kind of pressure, they need to prioritize the issue, and they need to have a clear, compelling, inspiring plan for implementing Medicare for All. Candidates who don't put the issue on their websites or argue their buy-in bills are legitimate paths are not going to push hard enough or sufficiently for robust reforms. Their support for Medicare for All is in name only. They will willingly support Joe Biden's plan to implement the public option as if that's the way the winds are blowing. They won't lead the party on health care. They will be led by it. For these candidates, one path is as good as another because the issue doesn't matter to them. They don't see. Of course, they'll try to convince you otherwise. Kamala Harris will tell you about her mother's cancer. You know who else uses public stories or personal tragedies to cover up for banal healthcare policies? Joe Biden, who used the death of his wife and his daughter to meekly push the public option. But at least Joe Biden takes a clear position in favor of remaining with the constraints of Obamacare. Harris and Warren play games. Harris may sound sympathetic when she speaks about her mother, but her communications director has a more than flippant attitude about the whole thing. There's a tweet that her communications director put out. It says, "Me, I want a burrito, but I'd accept tacos in the meanwhile. But I want a burrito." Medicare for all isn't good enough. Wanting Medicare for all isn't good enough. It needs to be demanded and prioritized. Because if we settle for a public option, that means that millions of Americans continue paying exorbitant amount of premiums with no end in sight. The strength and power of Medicare for all single-payer option system is that it gives Medicare monopoly power over the patient pool, enabling it to dictate more affordable terms to providers. If everyone's on Medicare, providers cannot hope to earn a living without providing health care to Medicare patients on Medicare terms. As soon as we move away from the single payer and embrace multiple payers, the possibility of ever-escalating costs is reintroduced. Joe Biden's public option isn't a taco. It leaves millions of Americans without access to affordable health care. And it leaves the rest of us on the highway to premium hell. There is no excuse for this. Sob stories and many paths speeches should not enable presidential candidates to get away with condemning innocent people to death and financial torment. Journalists must learn to recognize the many paths trick and hold those who engage in it to account. It's our job. It's my job. It's your job. It's our job. It's the job to hold them accountable when they start talking this slippery language. But to hold them accountable, you got to understand the slippery language. So when people are talking about it's a pathway or this doesn't matter how we get to it, it does matter how we get to it because the direction we take to get there may make it unobtainable. If you got all these different plans out there, there's no incentive for these companies to support Medicare for all. We don't want a path. We want Medicare for all. We don't want something like it. We want Medicare for all. When you listen to Pete Buttigieg talk nice, he talk real nice. Sounds real good. Sounds real diplomatic, real civil. That's what I was talking about with the civility. We don't need civility. People are dying. We don't need civility. We need results, baby. We need Medicare for all. We need to remove the barrier, any barrier to health care. It's the most important thing. Being alive. Doesn't much matter what the price of gas is if you're not here to drive. Don't much matter if your college is free if you're not here to go. Life or death. Now, I want you to listen to this clip. I got one last clip for you. It's from Senator Elizabeth Warren.
I'm with Bernie on Medicare for all, and let me tell you why. I spent a big chunk of my life studying why families go broke. And one of the number one reasons is the cost of health care, medical bills. And that's not just for people who don't have insurance. It's for people who have insurance. Look at the business model of an insurance company. It's to bring in as many dollars as they can in premiums and to pay out as few dollars as possible for your health care. That leaves families with rising premiums, rising co-pays, and fighting with insurance companies to try to get the health care that their doctors say that they and their children need. Medicare for All solves that problem. And I understand there are a lot of politicians who say, oh, it's just not possible, we just can't do it, have a lot of political reasons for this. What they're really telling you is they just won't fight for it. Well, health care is a basic human right, and I will fight for basic human rights. That means
Yeah, if you're fighting for a basic human right, if you believe that Medicare for All is a human right, it's a human right to have health care coverage, you believe that everybody should have it, why would you support, why would you co-sponsor other legislation that does not do the same thing? Either you love me or you don't love me. Either I'm the one for you, or you'll be with any guy who's bald-headed and aging. I mean, either we together or we not. Either you support Medicare for all or you don't. We got to stop letting politicians put a fast one on us. This is a life and death situation. We can't have them just dipping the toe in the water and then pulling support from real champions for the real issue. Bernie Sanders is the real champion. He's really carrying the torch on Medicare for all. I just don't believe that anybody else truly who's in contention truly wants it enough. It's building whose commitment is unrelenting, is put everything on it. I don't believe it. I don't believe Elizabeth Warren. I don't believe Kamala Harris. And at least Joe Biden ain't asking me to believe him because he's not even pretending. Yeah, I got something good to say about Joe Biden. At least he's not lying to me about it. Now, he's lying about a lot of other stuff, but he's not lying about that. Because that would piss off his buddy Barack. I think that's where we can leave it for tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Look, become a member of the Tim Black Wolfpack tomorrow. I'm going to cover Bernie Sanders. Sit down with Rachel Maddow. People are playing politics. I'm going to call them out for playing politics when it's no substance, when it doesn't help. And stop telling me every time I call out somebody for some BS politics that they're playing that doesn't help, or worse, is a slap in the face. Don't tell me they're playing a ninja. It's 4D. It's 4-dimensional chess, Tim Black. You just wouldn't understand. See, when they said yellow, they meant blue. And when they say orange, they mean lavender. And when it's up, it's down. And left is right. Hey, shut up. Just admit that as much as you like laughing at Trump supporters for letting the wool be pulled over their eyes, you let the wool be pulled over your eyes. It is what it is. We call them as we see them. I'm Real Tim Black on Facebook and Twitter. You can follow me there. That's it. Have a great remainder of your evening. I'll see you on the next one. Shout out to the Wolfpack, everybody who supports this show. Thank you for all that you do. Without you, this show doesn't get done. This show is not funded, and as if I need to say it, but this show is not funded by any organization, any group. It's funded by people like you who tune into this show. No one is bought and paid for this show. My Patreons, my supporters pay for this show. And I get a little bit of ad money. And I want to thank you for being there for me and helping me keep the show going. Shout out to you. Don't forget, you can always email me at tim@timblackTV.com. I will respond as soon as possible. I am in essence of serving other people. Let's keep it that way. I'll see you guys soon. Keep your head up, and like I always say, don't let nobody take your cornbread, and stop falling for the banana in the tailpipe. These people don't deserve to call themselves progressive. They're not supporting getting money out of politics. They don't support $15 minimum wage. They don't support Medicare for all. They don't support ending interventionist wars, regime change wars. They don't support ending mass incarceration. They got a lot of talk, a lot of rhetoric, but unless you support those things, you are not progressive. Call yourself whatever you want to call yourself. Don't call yourself that. If you want to throw away the labels, fine, but keep those tenets in mind, because that is what we need to have a civilized, a humanized, a truly humane society in the richest country on the globe. Peace.